Hello and welcome to Ditching Hourly. I'm Jonathan Stark. Today I am joined by guest Diane Whiddon. Diane, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, this is going to be fun, I think. So today we're going to talk about Diane's business, and the word that she used to describe it is going gangbusters. And I know that's not the case for everybody out there. So I want to pick Diane's brain about what's working, what's not working, what changed, and perhaps inspire folks to stick it out or try something different, or whatever. Who knows what we're going to find out in this conversation. But first, Diane, could you introduce yourself to folks? Tell them a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Sure. So I am a web designer by trade, but I'm really a brand strategist. That's sort of my specialty. And then recently I've really gotten into AI illustration. I've been designing websites and pretty much all kinds of things online since 2006. I built a WordPress agency that I sold in 2015, and I went into just consulting and business coaching for a few years. Burnout pretty hard on that. Played around with everything else you could possibly do online. We tried some drop shipping, some Amazon selling. I was trying to make anything else work. And then finally came back to website design with Squarespace in 2022. And that's kind of where I have kind of re-entered this whole sphere, is running a little tiny boutique agency and really trying to protect my boundaries and run a much smaller shop this time around.
Okay, great. So in 2022, so like sort of mid-COVID, late COVID, you're like, oh, I'm going to restart my old business or start a new business, however you would put it.
Yeah.
Okay. So now tell folks how we met.
So I found you and your work early last year. I was starting to get really annoyed, and I've told you the story because I was, I was in a lot of web designer groups, with people who, it's such a weird age right now. Or, everybody who has a Canva account fancies themselves a graphic designer. And I was in these web design groups with people who couldn't spell HTML. And I'm like, I've been doing this for 20 years. I know branding, I know strategy, I know messaging. I could I could help you decrease churn in your membership. That's how granular I can get with what I can do for you in your business. And I'm like, why am I competing with these people on price when I offer such a different thing? And somebody said the word value pricing to me, and I was like, I must research. So I found you and like Chris Doe and Tim Denning and a few other people like that. And your content was the content that I just really resonated with. I just really liked your approach, and it just made a lot of sense to me because you also talk about boundaries and stuff too. And that's a lot of like what's really important to how you run your business. And that really resonated with me. So anyway, started following your content and then I don't know how, you said you sent out a thing and you were like, I'm just giving away these free 30-minute sessions. And I'm like, yep, I want that. And so that's how we.
Yeah. I think that was in March or something. There was a whole bunch of layoffs announced. And so I just emailed the list and said, hey, if you know anybody that just got chucked out of corporate and wants to start a consulting thing, give them this link. I'll see if I can point them in the right direction. And you were super nice because in the confirmation, you were like, oh, I didn't just get booted out of corporate, so it's okay. You can release the space for somebody else. I was like, no, let's talk anyway. So we had I thought we had a really good conversation in that call. What was your takeaway? How would you summarize that call for people?
That's you know what? It's funny. It wasn't a discovery call at all, or it was the best kind of discovery call. Let's just say that, because there was no sales pitch at all until 27 minutes in when I was begging you to tell me how to give you money. But because most people, like, it's a pitch, we all know how to do the sales call. Tell me all the things that hurt you and I will parrot them back to you so that you are in your pain and triggered. And then I can say an outrageous price and you will pay me. And like, I know how sales calls work. And it was so funny because even leading up to our call, I almost canceled it because I was like, I know what this is going to be. What am I doing? Like, don't. And the funny thing was, we were like 5 minutes in and you said one of the smartest things to me that anyone has ever said to me about my business.
Oh.
So I mostly work with content creators, like coaches, consultants. My clients are typically either C-suite executives who are moving into consulting, like they're done with the C-suite and they're like, well, I want to write a book or I want to be on a TED stage or whatever.
Yeah.
Or they've just gotten their first TEDx talk or they've just published their first book and they've been in consulting a while, but now they're like expanding. That's like
Hmm.
those are my clients.
Hmm.
You got on the call and you were a little stressed, first of all, because you were like, okay, I know I've looked at your stuff, but who are you again? You're like, you're my 22nd one of these calls.
Yeah, I had a
And
lot of
that's,
calls.
you were like, I've done so many. And that's relevant because I know what you were saying on the fly. This was not something you had rehearsed.
Hmm.
Totally off the cuff. You're kind of, oh, I remember. Yeah, your site. And you were just like, yeah, SEO really isn't important to your clients, is it? No. Yeah, it's all about content and I was like, like you could just like that got my attention because nobody comes at me with the truth around that because my clients, SEO doesn't matter for them.
Mm,
Their clients that are going to pay them a $15,000 consulting fee, they don't come to them on Google or
right.
chat or whatever now, right? Like
Yep.
it's referrals, it's based on the content they're creating. And so just that, I was like, oh, I wish I was recording this. I'm paying attention. What are you saying? And then you just proceeded to say like tons more smart stuff. And then I think somewhere at the end of the call, like called me sophisticated, which by the way, if anybody's interested in how to sell a client, you like impress the crap out of them and then call them sophisticated. And I'm like, okay, I just like you said so many smart things to me about how to run my business and how to get more of my exact clients. Like you really
Right.
just instantly honed in on it. And I'm sure that's your experience and also background in web design and everything else. But I just was like, my personal pain was I felt so scattered because the AI, I didn't know how to integrate the AI stuff into what I was doing
Right.
and you just nailed that. So anyway, that's my long
Jeez.
summary of the call. But the call really made an impression on me, so it was fun.
That's great to hear. It probably comes across like this is going to be a self-serving episode, but that's not. I really do want to get to the before and after.
Mm,
So maybe pick up on that thread of feeling scattered because you had a lot of things going on. You have a lot of ideas. You have a lot of projects. I mean, drop shipping and other stuff you listed.
mhm.
There's a lot. You just have like an ideas person. Lots of things you could be doing. And so if I remember correctly, you did feel like you had too many things going on.
I did. And at that point, I had abandoned everything but the agency that I was running. So I run the SwayRise Creative, and that's all that I was doing. But I didn't know how to do it well. I knew I needed to scale to the next level. And I I'd had a lot of success with like I mean I've had clients for years and like people know me and I have my audience is tiny but it's super loyal. I built my brand teaching in-person workshops so the people who know me are like they're just my raving fans. But I knew that was holding me back. I knew I needed a bigger audience. I knew I needed to start taking marketing more seriously and not just networking and referrals. And the AI stuff, I'm like, I don't know how this fits. I know I'm a brand strategist, but I'm like, do I need to run a social media agency where I'm creating images for people? Like I just couldn't figure out how to make it fit. And that was one of the things that really became clear on that call that I was like, oh, this is really it's not revenue, it's not even list building. I'm like the thing that's really killing me is I have zero clarity on how I want all of this to work together. That's what happened
Mm,
on the discovery call for me was I at least got clear on what I wasn't clear on.
got it. Yeah, and for a little bit of context for the listener, like you're bullish on AI. And
Yeah,
that was something that came up in the call, right? So you're like, this is
super.
going to be big. It's going to totally affect this industry. Don't want to ostrich head in the sand approach. I want to like tackle this head on.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's new. There's all these other things going on. You got all, and but you had other projects. I don't know if it was on that call or since then that we've been working together, but you had other projects and other things that you had invested time and money in with other
Mhm,
people and
mhm,
they're still in the same category of
mhm.
products and services, but um, almost felt side hustly to me and kind of off center from this stuff. So,
Mhm.
and the reason I bring that up is because I know a lot of people listening have tons of ideas and maybe they are excited by AI and they're just like, where do I start? And they start like 10 things and you can't do all of them well. You probably can't even do two of them well.
Mhm.
So like getting that clarity and being able to focus is super obvious to me how important that is. But how does it feel when someone says it back to you and you're like, oh, obviously I should do that. But then you have to, kill some darlings, as they say. Like, was that like stressful or was it immediate relief? Like, what was were up nights staring at the ceiling?
Yeah, it was really hard for me. I think that's been in coaching with you, that's been one of the biggest lessons I've learned is that I don't have an I'm not focusing enough on like one single thing. I still open my template shop. You told me not to and I did it anyway. And I'm like, I need to message you and be like, look, I don't want to hear I told you so for at least 30 days. Like you can tell me in a month, but I don't want to hear about it now. Um, because I do, I'm totally susceptible to the sunk cost fallacy and things like
Right.
that. I mean, I really struggle with it. And you're right. I was doing a podcast with someone that wasn't a fit, and I was considering like just a course on just boundaries for web designers, and I was doing, I just was doing all these other crazy things, and
Yeah.
I feel like the first month we worked together in particular it was all messaging of like, okay, I'm doing this thing. Do I keep doing this? And you were like, no, don't do that. What are you doing? And you kept telling me, write your book, write your book.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
I don't remember. It was one of the first calls when we came up with an idea for you to blend the idea of branding and AI
yeah,
and we came up with like a title. I don't know, a working title, and you're like, and you were just totally like, I definitely want to do this. This is very exciting.
yeah.
And I don't know off the top of my head status wise. I'm just curious. Like it seemed to me like you were making a lot of progress early, but I could be wrong.
No, no, that's how it felt. Getting the focus, knowing what to cut out was huge. And then you're right on that first call, that was when, and it was like right at the end of the call too, was when everything finally gelled. And it was just
Hmm.
because we had to go through. I'm like, okay, I'm doing this thing. Okay, well, I've thought of this thing. Okay, what about this thing? And you were really great because you helped me work through the bits and pieces of every one of those. Okay, but how is this going to look, Diane? And I was like,
Yeah.
well, I don't know. I'm just going to do it. And you're like, no, like, what are the deliverables? And like, oh, okay. And because I tend to do, I love the phrase done is better than perfect, which
Hmm.
I think is great. And I love movement, but sometimes I jump a little too early.
Yep.
So, so it was really helpful to break down, okay, what's actually the business model that you're building? And that was when it was the end of that call. And we came up, it was branding in the age of AI. And I mean, the minute you said it, I was like, oh, I see the book. I know exactly what I'm going to talk about. This integrates the branding work that I've done for 20 years, the 40,000 word book I wrote and never did anything with. That's
Mm.
outdated now, but like I can revive it.
Hmm.
Um, and the AI work that I'm doing now that I care so much about, and making that work and putting it together in a cohesive whole for people in a way that affirms what I believe in and what I want to do in the world. Like it just felt so good.
Cool.
So that was like the main thing we did on that call, and I did great starting out the gate. I started writing the book, um, kept going with client work. I offloaded a lot of stuff to my junior designer. It really helped me restructure my day and what I was doing. And then, of course, because I'm the queen of pivots, I maybe got halfway through the book and I was just looking at it. And one day I just kind of woke up to the fact that I'm like, wait a minute, I think this is a course. Wait a minute. I
Oh,
think I
that's
have,
interesting.
yeah. I was like, I think I have content for a course here. I may be leaving money on the table. And I don't even think I asked you about it. I was like, I'll just do a little test launch to see if anybody wants this. If I put this out and make it for sale.
Hmm.
And I didn't even create any of the content. I literally just ran a launch. I did in 3 weeks. I put everything together and ran a pre-launch. And I'm like, it'll all be live on this day. And I had like 25 people buy it, which
Mm.
considering the size of my list was insane.
Mm.
So I was like, okay, I guess this is viable.
So okay, let's unpack some stuff here. So,
Sure.
uh, one thing I should mention is that I'm a huge fan of teaching the book before you write the book. So, had we talked about that, I would have been a heck yeah on
Nice.
that. Yeah, yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. Big giant fan of that. Um, I think it just makes a much better book because you get so much feedback on the material and like what lands, what doesn't land of the group of people you teach to, who's actually the ideal one, and then you can write the book right for that one. So it's great.
Awesome.
Um, Talk a little bit about we keep mentioning AI, but we haven't said what you do. So how have you been incorporating AI into SwayRise?
I fell in love with AI about 2 years ago now, it kind of came into my realm in a major way. Evelyn Weiss was using AI in some of her AI imagery in some of her sales pages and things, and she still uses them. If you go to her website for Secret Weapon, her PLR white label site.
Who
Um,
is she? I don't know who she is.
Oh, she's like the queen of like, you don't know Evelyn Weiss? Oh man, she won almost won the school games, like second runner up, Alex Hormozy, whole thing. Yeah. So anyway, she's a rock star and she's like the queen of low ticket memberships. So she's basically written the book on how to run a membership that's like say $27 or less.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and she's made millions and millions. Like she has this huge following and like she's just super cool. So anyway, even though her content's a little hard for me to take sometimes because she's so hyper detailed. So
Mm,
sometimes I get overloaded, but super smart. Anyway, I saw her using some AI illustrations on her stuff. And it was interesting and intriguing. It was just caricatures of like Victorian people going like, like the scream and like making faces and stuff on the all throughout the sales page. So it was
yeah.
really cute. Now, whether or not it was driving conversions, who knows? But
Hmm.
it's definitely eye catching.
Hmm.
And then I went to a couple months later, I saw the Drinking with Chicken site. She had redone her site. If you haven't seen that, it's amazing.
No,
Haven't seen
I
it.
haven't.
It's incredible. She's just an influencer, and she like has this cocktail recipe book, and she has these chickens in her backyard, and she just goes out in her backyard and drinks with her chickens, and like has a whole brand around it. But her site's gorgeous, and the site is so multi-layered. It's got a little bit of that scrapbooking effect, but it has these beautiful photos of her with her chickens standing on her head, her recipe book on her head, her recipe book on her dog's head, her cocktail napkins that are for sale, the pretty wallpaper inside her hen house, her crafted cocktails in her hand. So you could see by looking at her site, I'm like, this is a $30,000 website. This is a
Mm,
$30,000 photo shoot. Like, obviously, a very fancy PR person went to this influencer and said, you need this package with the custom graphics, the custom illustrated graphics on the site and
mm.
everything. And when I
And now this
saw
stuff's
that,
not AI. This
it
stuff's
wasn't.
all
This
okay.
this site wasn't. Yeah, this site was just this was a really high dollar photo shoot. But when I
Old school.
saw it,
Hmm.
I was like, we could literally do that entire thing with AI. And that was the thing that like blew me away is like, oh my gosh, I see the $30,000 photo shoot that's so out of reach for most people. I
Hmm.
mean, not even just money, but like time and effort and expense. Who wants to fly to Well, I mean, I guess a lot of people would fly to Paris for a photo shoot. I mean, bad example, but like the time and effort and energy. And I'm like, you send me 20 selfies and your brand style guide, and I could do that for you in a week.
Mm,
And that was what blew me away. That was what really started to change my like thinking around AI and being like, okay, I want to offer this as service and I want to make this available to people. And pretty quickly I was like, I want to teach other people to do this because there's a lot of people out there who are teaching AI skills, but they're teaching you how to give a model a fish head as she walks down a runway underwater.
yeah.
What is that?
Yeah.
So I'm very much about results driven AI use, like very practical. And yeah, I think I
Yeah.
answered that.
Okay. So that's fabulous context. So the AI photo shoots thing, um, share with folks and remind me how I seem to recall that we were at a pricing stage with that when we first started talking about it. Like, how much should this be?
Yeah.
Or you were bringing up the price and talking about like how to. We were talking about exactly how to make that work.
Mhm.
So, where would you say that is as an independent product right now? or
Just
if
in
you even
terms of
think of it
pricing?
like that. Yeah. Or how it fits into the business. Is it more
Yeah.
like it's like an upsell for another kind of package or yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So right now I have it well, so I have two packages, AI portrait packages. One is just headshots because that's what people, it's a really easy sell. I'm selling them like hotcakes right now. People understand what AI headshots are now. They didn't understand a year and a half ago when I started offering them. But
Mm,
people are like, oh, you're going to give me a set of headshots to go with my new web template customization. Done. Great. Good. I don't have to worry about it. Um, the brand package, it's I have it as it's around $3,000. I want to say maybe 3,200, but it's a whole shoot. The struggle with it, though, if anyone's interested in doing this for themselves, the struggle with it is educating people on the fact that it's an option. Because what I have found is that most people are like, well, but what are commercial images? Like, what do you mean custom stock images? I don't understand because they have never had the PR person come to them and say,
hmm.
you need this $30,000 shoot. So there's a learning curve that I think is going to happen in the next year to 18 months where people are going to start to realize that it's possible that they wait a minute, I can have like the Brene Brown online presence. What? For 3 grand? What?
Yeah.
And I think it'll take off. But we're just in that bubble right now where people are still trying to figure out what it is.
Okay. So yeah, the headshots makes total sense.
Mhm.
People have probably seen. I remember the first one of these I saw on LinkedIn. Another sort of AI influencer person who's in my orbit, and she was talking about AI, but it was more like this is maybe a couple of years ago about having your own, like how thought leaders could train their own AI kind of digital twin type of thing.
Yeah.
And so she was talking about, it was very text based. The thing that she was talking about was very text based digital twin type stuff. But she would post, like these kind of lifestyle photos of herself so that people would sort of stop and be like, oh, what's this? And I'm like, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, something, like I've had calls with her, right? And I'm like, that's her, but something was weird. I don't know if it was something about the background or the makeup was too perfect or something. There was like I'm like, oh, maybe that's a filter, but I didn't think it was a filter. Anyway, so she started talking about how she was creating with AI. And this was like, she was the first person I saw doing it. And I did notice that something was weird. So this is probably 2 years ago.
Mhm. Yeah.
But now I think that it's because of people doing that on social media. I think it's pretty standard fare.
Mhm.
Why could not to sort of sell your product here, but like why couldn't someone just do that for themselves? What is the is that like, is this like an easily copyable model or something people could do just for themselves? Or I mean, you're teaching it to people, so obviously you're not afraid to give away the secrets. But what have you found is the challenges? What are the challenges when you're creating this kind of thing for clients? Like I'm curious about the technical challenges, but also like the approval. How well are they received? How many revisions do you have to do? Like, oh, this, I really don't look this good. Like, this is too good. You know
Right.
what I mean? I don't want people to meet me in person and shriek. So, right.
Right.
So like talk the technical side, but also the sort of emotional or psychological side of it.
Right. Okay, so can I tell you a funny story first on that? So this is not necessarily about AI, but I met an in-person friend here in Chicago where I live. I met an in-person friend at like one of my neighborhood get-together things. And she asked me, we got to talking or whatever, and I said I had a YouTube channel. And she goes, oh, okay, great. I'm gonna go check out your YouTube. And she pulls it up on her phone and she goes, is this you? And I was like, yes, it's me, obviously. And she goes, wow. I was like, how high do I have the zoom filter turned up? What is going on? So anyway, so not AI, but exactly, you really don't want that
You
reaction
don't want
when
that
someone sees
reaction.
you in real life. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, for sure. So a couple things on that. So the first thing, I have a guess as to what it was about the initial images you were seeing of the influencer you knew. Um, so initially, especially when we were creating images of people in Midjourney, it would create what I call plastic face. And
Hmm.
it's like that sort of plastic skin sort of look. And it's just a dead giveaway that it's an AI image.
Hmm.
It's just the skin's just a little too perfect. Even if there are wrinkles, like it doesn't have just realistic skin texture. And I think we're just used to seeing real
It's
skin
noticeable.
texture on
Yeah.
people. Yeah. So anyway, that has gotten a lot better just from the AI is a lot better now. And now you can use different tools. There's Flux and all kinds of different things. So there's that. And you can also prompt for it if you are working on like getting people and you're using like the new Omni reference in Midjourney. If you're playing around with that stuff and you're trying to get a consistent character, if you prompt for skin texture, if you prompt for wrinkles, if you prompt for pores, you'll get a lot better at those kinds of things, which is some of the stuff I talk about in my course. Yes.
Hmm.
So there's that. Now here's the next thing I would say. This is like the main answer to your question. It is 100% different doing this process for clients than doing it for yourself.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, it's a really different thing because first of all, there's so many reasons why. But first of all, one of the biggest is what you look like. Well, you think you do. You
Right.
start taking AI images of you and giving them to like your spouse and like your friends, and it's really interesting what different people. Oh, this one totally looks like you, and you're like, that doesn't look like me at all. What are you talking? It's really interesting. But anyway, um, you don't know what other people online look like. When a client hires you and they send you a bunch of selfies, even if you've talked with them on Loom or something, you don't actually know what they look like and you don't realize it until you generate 50 or 80 images of them in AI and you're looking at them and you're like, I don't know which ones to pick. I don't know which ones to send the client. So you've got that to overcome. But
Mm.
then also, the AI is really interesting to work in because you can't really edit things in AI. So your success at doing this, and this is one of the reasons that I'm not afraid of like giving away secrets,
Mm.
your success at doing this is going to depend on your skill as a designer, as an editor, as an image editor. It's going to depend on your um, uh, what do I want to say, like talent at photography. I consistently see that some of the people who create the most beautiful images are photographers
Yeah.
because they understand composition, they understand lighting, they literally are fantastic at creating a shoot.
Hmm.
Um, and then branding. Like if you're not going to be able to do this for somebody if you don't have any experience in branding. You're not going to be able to create a cohesive suite of images because you're not going to understand how to create like part of the process to doing this successfully with clients is like sitting down and brainstorming what are going to be the stock what first of all what are you going to be doing in the shoot, because we
Hmm.
can just have you sitting at your computer, which is great for headshots, but like what's the transformation that you are walking people through? What's the
Right.
point A and then what's the point B, and what photos are going to illustrate that? So, you've got to have some awareness of branding to be able to even attempt it and do it well.
Right. Yeah. It just wouldn't be cohesive. So, I'm not sure what category this question falls into, but I've been seeing people who are very like AI forward, but even though that's not their job, like they're like you are, they're like that influencer or the other person I was talking about on LinkedIn, who are doing stuff it's like, to your point, it's like it's illustrating the journey that they take their customers through, but they don't even remotely try to make them look like they're a real photo.
Mhm.
It'd be, it's more like the chickens on the head type of thing, or like it almost um, joking, almost making it look like AI generated it on purpose in a way like that they're in space or their head turns around all the way around in an animation or something, or it's just like super cartoonish on purpose like you're in the Spider-Verse or something.
Right.
Do you get that kind of thing from clients, or is it mostly just replacing a photo shoot type of situation?
It is always 100% replacing a photo shoot. So if I can rant for a second, the
Mhm.
first course that I ever took on AI illustration, the owner of the course was talking about how like her big selling point of the course was like, you can be a mermaid and you can like do branding shoots for clients and stuff, and you can let them be a mermaid and they could be a forest nymph and they could be a magician or an astronaut. The thing that I learned pretty quickly, nobody wants to be a mermaid. Like it's just nobody cares. I
Yeah.
rebranded my whole site. I was this awesome like pinup space girl with pink hair, and I had like a robot, and like it was amazing. I had these little like mid-century modern stars that like floated everywhere. It was so badass, and no, my sales tanked. Everything went down because when you went to my site and looked at it, it was really cool and fantastical. But I work with people who want to be on a TEDx stage. Come on,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
they're not going to be right. So, and what I learned, and I reached out to a bunch of my clients initially, and clients that I've worked with, people who trust me, and I
Mhm.
was like, let me do one of these shoots for you for free. And just to build up my portfolio. And you know what they all said?
Hmm.
Every single one of them. Can you give me photos of me talking to a group? Give me
Right, on
photos of me in
stage.
front of an audience.
Yeah,
Yeah, every
exactly.
one of them.
Yeah.
And that was like, and I learned really, really quickly that, wow, like nobody wants to be a mermaid. They want things that give them status, you
Right.
know?
Right. I kick myself for when I used to do speaking a lot, I kick myself for not hiring a photographer to take really good pictures. Just
Yeah.
what a missed opportunity. And to be fair, I wouldn't feel bad if someone now could generate like the last I haven't, COVID and everything. The last I've only spoken at one conference in person in probably the last 10 years.
Mhm.
And it was because I wanted to meet David C. Baker in person. Like, so I went, he had me speak at his thing. Um, and a bunch of speakers got together and they were not videotaped. It was like not part of the deal. Like
Mhm.
the event wasn't doing it. So a bunch of us got together and hired a pro video team to come in and do it. But it was in a really cool venue, but it wasn't a stage. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Mhm.
And it's like, it was such a bummer. I was like, this is like probably the one conference I'm going to do for the next 10 years. Like, couldn't we have like more of a stagey looking lighting and everything? It was like, it was super cool. It was like at a hipster brewery and it was like, it
Oh,
was
fun.
great. It was a really fun event, but the photo didn't look like as baller as it was.
Right.
All that
Mhm.
said, I would not feel like I was fooling anyone
Right.
if I had a better version of that created that was
Right.
like, it's like, yes, all those people were really there, but they were
Yep.
sitting at a bar instead, or in tables and high tops and stuff, instead of like more like a TED look where it's like, stadium sitting room. Anyway, so
Can
where
I
do
just
you,
say, you are
uh-huh.
not alone in that. One of my clients was like, she's like, why don't I have any pics of me speaking? She's like, I've spoken at the UN for crying out loud.
Oh my
I don't have
God.
any photos. And I was like, oh my, and so I gave her some. Like I was happy to. But it was
Hmm.
like, it was so enlightening to me that I was like, look, like even people who speak all the time, it doesn't mean that there's a photographer in the back getting
Yeah,
great
there's
photos
not.
of them.
There's
Yeah,
almost never.
right.
I mean, I used to speak a lot, and you'd almost never get a good photo. Like they would take the organizers would take pictures to promote the show the next year, but they were more like in the hall, the hallway, and look how much fun people are having. It's not like they're not trying to make like a particular
Right.
speaker look like a rock star.
Right.
So it was like it's a bummer. But
Yeah.
where did it raises a sort of ethical might be overstating it, but it raises a question of like, yes, I did speak at Nokia World in London, and I
Mhm.
have no pictures of it.
Mhm.
It seems reasonable to like create a picture of, I was probably like 40 in this giant amphitheater, or I wish I would kill for a picture of me at South by Southwest with like 3,000 people.
Yeah.
Nope, no pictures. But so the ethical question is, do people ask you to create pictures that were missed, or are they just like, just put me in front of 10,000 people even though I've never done that? And like, where do you land on that? Or like, how do you advise them about that?
I actually have this on my sales page on my site, and I think it's a really good idea to talk about this with clients before you sell them on this because I'm really clear. Me personally, I'm just like, I love AI. I think it's super cool. I am not going to use it to mislead your audience in any way.
Hmm.
Now, unless you want like a picture of you on a TEDx stage where we apply like a impressionist filter so it looks painted or something. I mean, I'm
Right.
down to try something like that, but I'm only going to represent things that you have already done. I wouldn't like for is that that South by Southwest example. I'm not going to put South by Southwest in the background. I'm not going to put like TEDx or whatever in the background just because
Hmm.
like technically that's not a photo of that event.
Right.
But I don't have any problem creating photos of a client on a big stage with a huge audience if that's actually something that they've done.
Right. Yeah. It's like artist rendering in the corner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. I mean, if you even have to do that, like if we're
Yes.
just literally trying to create photos for your site or your about page or something, I don't see a problem with that stuff.
Okay, so let's jump over to the technical side because a lot of folks in the audience are very technical. What is I don't even know how to ask the question. I follow AI, but I don't do any of the image stuff. I haven't really touched it in probably a year and a half, so it
Mhm,
barely touched it.
mhm,
What do you find for this kind of an application?
mhm,
Creating realistic, photorealistic images of like thought leader type people.
mhm.
What's like your stack is the question I want to ask. Like what are the tools that you use to make that happen? Like do you take it into Photoshop at the end and change things and stuff? Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, yeah. I've got at least 4 programs that I use for every shoot, and sometimes it's as high as 8, no,
Mm,
that's not right, 5. I use at least 5, for every shoot, and then sometimes it goes up as high as 8 depending on, like, the complexity of what they're asking for and how much editing and stuff needs to be done.
mhm,
I Midjourney is my go-to. I mean, Midjourney and I are just really good friends. It's just the best image and video gen out there right now. Nobody else, in my opinion, even comes close. And I know VO is doing some really cool things, and I know but I just Midjourney is just amazing.
mhm.
Um, but Midjourney isn't great yet. Midjourney, so if you were going to do like a character reference, you would do it with the Omni reference in Midjourney. It's
What does
not.
that mean? What's a character reference?
So it's like you can upload a photo of you and put it into Midjourney and then put in your prompt, and it'll say, okay, I'm referring to this as a character, and it'll put your face in the prompt.
Okay.
And it works pretty well. It works pretty well. It's not great, and it's certainly not client ready, but
Mhm,
it's fun enough to play with if you just want to play around creating photos of you.
mhm.
For photos of clients, I do like Flux is usually my go-to. I like that one the best.
What is
And
that?
then that's an interest. I don't know how to answer that. It's like Midjourney. It's just
Okay.
another thing like Midjourney. But in my opinion, it doesn't listen well to prompts. So in order to make it work really well, you have to use a lot of image references, and I use it in conjunction. So I create a bunch of like the mood board sort of photos in Midjourney, and then I use those as image references with Flux to create
Mhm,
matching because it all has to match. Create matching images of the person, and
mhm,
then I'll do editing and Photoshop. I have some phone apps. Like there's some phone apps that are great for editing that you just can't use on a desktop.
mhm.
And then I'll upscale everything in gigapixel.
Oh, okay. I've never heard of that. What is that?
There's just an upscaler. It's just not. It's just literally meant to increase the size of images. And they have one that's specifically for AI images that is just chef's kiss. Really good.
That's wild. So, okay. Um, so a bunch of random questions about that.
Yeah.
So how how long would you say would you budget to go through this whole process? It's much more complicated than probably any lay person is going to do for their own site. That
Yeah.
it's like that's a lot of steps
Yeah.
to go through, and a lot of taste involved.
Yeah.
On your part,
Yep.
and then so if we're looking at like a comparable photo shoot, comparable is not a fair comparison. What would they have spent on a real live photo shoot, and how much time and effort would that have taken them for your average client? If they, maybe think pre AI, I'm sure you probably recommended to some clients, like, look, you have to get professional photos done. This is not going to work.
Yeah.
Right. So that's happened. So what are they usually thinking they're going to spend all in time and money on getting photos that are good enough to put on their website? Not the like flying to Paris piece, right? Just like basic photo shoot. Maybe they go to a studio or whatever.
Yeah, basic photo shoot. I mean, a 1,500, 2,500, max. And that's to get plenty of photos. The kicker for me, but that's not really what I'm doing. I want to draw a clear comparison because the power of the AI is really in that $20,000 piece where it's not just about getting cute photos of you. It's like, what are you doing? Like, Leonie, what's her last name? Dawson shared this a few years ago where she actually shared the process that she went through when she got new headshots done. And she hired a photographer and they didn't go anywhere fancy. She lives on the beach in New Zealand. So it's why go anywhere? But she rented out an Airbnb. She's like, I don't want to have to clean my house. I
Right.
didn't
Yeah.
want to have to put stuff away. Right. So she rented out an Airbnb for 2 days because she wanted to be able to take all of her stuff and not be rushed and the whole thing. And she packed like, I want to say like 5 suitcases of props because she wanted the house to look like her house. So she brought in like blankets that match and like 2 suitcases of wardrobe changes and like all this stuff. She goes, hires the photographer. They spend 8 hours together and they take pictures of her, yes, at a desk, yes, on a laptop, but also like, like kind of laying on the bed, working with like her feet up behind her, like laying on the bed, like on her
Yeah.
stomach, with her feet up behind her. And like, and then that was like the first part of the day. And they took pictures of like, she brought her favorite vase that's in her office with like flowers in it and all kinds of things, put that stuff all around. And they took pictures of all that stuff too. Her hand holding the vase, right? All that stuff.
I'm getting
Then,
tired just listening.
right, I mean,
it's like,
seriously, right. Then they go out to the beach and do it all out there too. So it was this whole huge production. I'm sure that cost, she didn't say, but I'm sure that was like a $10,000 photo shoot at least. So, and if you do a bigger thing where you have like an actual brand strategist there and a photography director who's guiding the whole thing, I mean, now you're really solidly into 5 figures. And days and days, and you got to get your hair done, and you got to like get all the outfits, and it's a whole thing.
Okay. And then after they're retouching everything too, I mean, it's still,
and you're waiting forever, to get the photographer to edit everything, get it back to you, and then you got to pick the ones you like, but change this and do that, and the whole thing. It's a pain. Yeah.
So okay, so it is fair to say, like, it really is like you're saying, you could get a $10,000 or $20,000 photo shoot for a fifth of that or less. So that maps to my experience with a lot of the ways that I've been using AI just in my regular business, not for other people, but where there's a bunch of stuff I do now that I just didn't do before because it would have been too expensive or either with time or money to not like transcripts of a podcast, but that kind of thing. Show notes, 100%. Yeah. Like I didn't used to do them at all. Right. It's like, here's the audio, here's the transcript. Once that became a thing, that's been a thing for a while, the transcript stuff. But I wouldn't do show notes. I'd like a one-liner. I'd be like, Diane joined me to talk about how her business is going gangbusters, now that she's introduced this AI product or whatever, something like that. That's it. Listen now. And so why I bring that up is because it's like things that were out of reach or just didn't have the bang for the buck. When you collapse the price of the thing by 10x, it's like, well, now maybe I'll do it. Right. And the thing that I find interesting about that is like, I'm not like, my usage of AI isn't putting anybody out of a job because I don't have any employees. So it's like, it just increases the amount of output that I can generate. And I just find that interesting. It's like, I wonder if this would, air quotes, put photographers out of a job because the people that you're selling to would never have, almost certainly not have paid $10,000 or $20,000 for a photo shoot. They're just not going to do it.
Right.
So it's almost not like competition.
Right.
Because someone who would have spent that probably still wants the photographer, right? They still want the experience. They want the photo shoot. They want to say it's a famous photographer or some, shot their wedding or whatever.
Yep.
Oh, wow. My brain just exploded. Like, imagine doing what you do, but for weddings.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. that could get pretty fanciful. Anyway, there's an idea for you, dear listener.
Right.
So let's get so I appreciate all of the sort of ethical side, the emotional
Mhm.
side, the technical side. Let's get to back to the business piece.
Sure.
So like when somebody says business is going gangbusters, I really take notice.
Yeah.
A lot of people are a lot of, especially in the US, things have been super weird. A lot of people, between especially in the software space, there was like a Silicon Valley Bank collapse like 2 years ago,
Mm.
and that just shut off a lot of funding for software people. Interest rates have been high, so that shuts off a lot of investment. Um, Unpredictable regulatory environment, unpredictable inflation environment, like all of these things are contributing to the kinds of clients that most of my folks would have previously worked with really clamping down and taking like a wait and see approach, pushing the projects off into the future. Either not hiring new, like letting the people quit and then they don't replace them, or they're actually laying people off. So there's a lot of very um, conservative financial decisions. Uh, just probably for the last 2 or 3 years. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the idea of demand. So when I hear someone saying like, "Oh wow, this course like sold the conversion rate on the course was ridiculous,"
Mhm.
um, it's just like I want to ask this. I want to soapbox here, but I'm trying to phrase it into a question. How? What is your experience in terms of satisfying an existing demand? Because I think that's what you're doing now. There's a
Mhm.
demand, there's a thirst for this thing. There's a hunger. It's like a tension or an itch, and you're like, here's a way to scratch it. Here's a way to you know get rid of that hunger.
Mhm.
And the experience of I've certainly had the experience of like trying to sell a thing that's just not in demand.
Mhm.
It's like maybe a thing I'm really good at. The most painful example is probably my 10-year attempt at having a professional music career, where
Mhm.
it was like, no one wants this, right? Like how long is it going to take me to get it through my head? Like, no one wants this. But you're just told this story of like, well, if I just got better at my instrument, or if I sang better, or I wrote better
Oh.
songs, and it's like it's like this for everyone until you finally break through. And it's like nobody wants this. And
Mhm.
when you switch to something, you've had so many different kinds of businesses. I'm sure you've experienced this thing like, oh, here's a great idea, and then crickets.
Yep. Yep.
And then compare that to uh, having something that like everybody wants right now. We were joking before the show about, it's like if you see a huge line of thirsty people, that's a good place to put a lemonade stand.
Right.
But like if no one's around and it's like a freezing Chicago winter and you're in the suburbs somewhere, no one's coming to your lemonade stand. It doesn't matter
Right.
how good the lemonade is.
Right.
So how I'm curious, when you have, let's say, the AI photo shoot idea or this new sort of focus for SwayRise, were you conscious of serving a demand, or were you like, this is just a great idea, I have to do this, and I just believe that there will be demand for it?
Yeah, no, I was at least a little bit conscious that I was serving a demand, which mattered to me because, you and I have both talked about this. We've both had this similar experience of like, I mean, I have missed, I mean, me personally, I feel like I've missed every trend in web design and tech. Like every trend that came out, I was like, nope, not my train. And like, y'all keep going. I'm just going to sit back here and do my thing. And then I miss out completely. And AI was one of those things that when it came along, when I first saw those images on Evelyn Weiss's website, I was like, I want in. I want in, and I want to do this right now. And
Hmm.
I started learning it immediately. And so then for me, it was such a shocker when nobody wanted my mermaid websites. I'm like, what? But this was what I was sold. What do you mean? Um, but I still, I almost abandoned it for a while there because I was like, well, this isn't going anywhere. And I was like, no, this is just the wrong application. And when I started applying what I really already knew about branding and selling online, I was like, no, 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 there's a really amazing application here, but I don't see anyone else talking about it. And so I started offering the photo shoots to clients. and to mixed reviews, to be completely transparent. There were some I had one client who I sent her the photos, which I thought were amazing, and she emailed me back and she goes, "I'm so grossed out. It looks so weird. I don't know how to feel about it." And I was like, "Well, that's your stuff. I can't help you with that."
Yeah.
Okay. And then of course she came around and I made some more fun photos for her and she really loved them. But um, people weren't always in love with it. And in the beginning, people were really mistrustful of it. And like there were a lot of humps to get over in the beginning, but I was still
Mhm.
pretty sure that I was onto something. And when I was writing the book, I honestly think that what got me to offer the course was I was writing the book, and as I'm writing the book, I realized like how much authority I have in this space, which can we just talk about how big a deal that is? Because if you've been doing for AI for 3 months, you can call
Yeah.
yourself an expert. Like that's, you know
Yeah.
what's going on.
It's like I jumped on the same thing. I saw the iPhone in 2007. I said, "That's what I'm doing from now on, period."
Yeah.
And and you were the only people who knew more about it were people at Apple. So, like, right?
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
you write a book on a thing, and
Mhm.
it's gonna be a paper book, and there's no going back and changing stuff very easily. It's gonna be like that for 2 years. It's gonna be wrong for 2 years.
Right.
So you go really deep and you have editors double checking your stuff. And so you become an even bigger expert by writing the book in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah. So jumping on, so it's so great when it doesn't happen that often. And it
Mhm.
doesn't even happen that often to me. It's happened to me a few times, but it's like every 10 years. And
Yeah.
it just hits me. And I'm like, oh, this is what I'm doing for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people that never hits them, but it is really cool when there is something to like to keep your metal detector alive in there for when things
Yeah.
like that happen and just be like, ah, this seems like so much fun. And there is some application to my business, or maybe it'll take my business into a slightly different place. But indulging that, I think is very good thing to do. And you have this combination of you have a specialization,
Mhm.
but you also have this kind of like global world expert type of thing happening because it's all brand new. So like when
Yeah.
you're operating this completely greenfield territory, I mean, yes, you do get a lot of clowns that are like, "Oh, I'm an expert at it because I bought one course or didn't even buy a course. I've been goofing around with it." So
Right.
anyhow, there's sort of like a hopefully inspirational thought to give to people, like when they do, like maybe they're thinking this about AI right now. Maybe they think they already missed the boat. You didn't miss the boat.
No. No.
No,
Not
it's
yet.
still way, way, way early.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyhow, I didn't mean to. Yeah. So I wanted to just point that out, call that out. I think that's great that you did that.
Yeah.
But you went through this sort of rocky phase where people are like, "Ah, I'm not so sure about this." But
Mhm.
the thing that really made me think it was a genius idea when I saw it was that I've talked to so many web developers and web
Yeah.
designers, and getting photos for this site is such a huge blocker. And the client has to do, up until now,
Yep.
the client had to do a whole bunch of stuff that they don't want to do, they're not good at.
Yep.
It's going to cost a lot of money. It's going to take a lot of time. And like, it's like, as soon as I get my photos done, or as soon as I get my photos back, and we can come back to this web project. So I've talked to tons of web developers and designers that are like, I've got 25 clients who want me to build them a website, but none of them have their photos done. So then I was like, there's demand for this. Like these people want to
Yep.
get their photos done,
Mhm.
right? It's just like, this is a brand new way to do it. It's cheaper and easier. It's like, oh, wow. Very,
Yeah.
very cool.
Literally the year before I started doing this and had taken the course, I had a client who came to me for a website. She didn't have any photos. I said, "You need to get some photos." So she reached out to a friend of a friend of a friend, some, photographer photographer ish. And he took photos of her. She paid him real money and he did a
Yeah.
whole shoot with her in her house. And I told her what to do. That was the other thing is I was like, ask my opinion. You need these photos. You need these kinds of things like in your office, like all the stuff. And it was so bad what he
Mm,
did. I couldn't use them.
yeah.
They were awful. And so she was the first person I approached actually, and I was like, "You know how you wanted really good headshots? You got them. Let's work this out." But yeah, it was just a game changer. Even if you don't want to offer entire shoots or anything. Just being able to solve that problem for web design clients is huge.
Hmm. Yeah. So, the web designers out there, take
Yeah, wake
notice.
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure.
All right, cool. Well, we could probably talk all day. I feel like I'm going. I predicted this was probably going to go long.
Yeah, we had lots to say. Was there anything else you wanted to say on demand? Because you were really excited when we were talking about that yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, how would you find demand? How do you detect it? So, like, finding, in other words, serving a demand that exists instead of trying to create demand. Like the like I cringe when I hear somebody say, "Oh, I just need to educate my audience more." And it's like,
Mm,
if you need to
yeah.
educate your audience, like, you're in big trouble.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's going to take a long time and it's going
Yeah.
to be really expensive. It's
Mhm.
like, can't you find a way to apply your skills or your expertise to something that they're already wrestling with? They just don't know that you're a potential solution to it. So don't talk about your solution. Just talk about the problem they have or the symptom they have
Mhm.
and deal with that.
Mhm.
Like, what problems do they know they have? And then you say, okay, great, I can help you with that in these different ways, right? So,
Mhm.
trying to, I was talking to a guy last night, another private coaching student, and he does beautiful work, but he's selling to business people who don't even have, in most cases, don't even have enough taste to recognize.
Yeah.
So, like, he's the expert at that. He's got a
Mhm.
really good eye. He's got a really good eye. And and I know this is tons of people. This is not just him. This is most people.
Mhm.
They're just like, I can see my stuff is so good. It's like top 1% of this thing. It's beautiful.
Mhm.
Why aren't people buying it?
Yeah.
Like, and there's also this assumption that let's say you're doing illustrations for websites and you're just like, you have the most amazing illustrator in the world, and you're like trying to sell this, you've been doing it 20-25 years professionally, it's beautiful, and you're trying to convince people that it's worth it, because, like, look how beautiful it is compared to this garbage, and the person's not even qualified to tell the difference between
Right.
they both look the same to me. They're both like
Right.
scrolly text or whatever.
Mhm.
And the other problem with the sort of, I would call him a craftsman or a crafts person,
Mhm.
they get so, they think the way to grow their business is to get better at their craft,
Yeah.
and they're not serving any demand.
Yeah.
So, like, they might be able to get a job because job employers, they look for skills basically. But when you're selling yourself B2B, which is
Mhm.
just totally different thing, when you're
Mhm.
selling B2B, you need to be able to talk about numbers.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like you earlier, you just sort of like casually said, "Oh, I can reduce your churn," or like, it's like,
Right.
"Oh my God, I'm hiring you," right? Like, that's, now you're speaking the language of the business person.
Right.
So, I was suggesting to him, like, don't try and educate your clients about the difference between how good yours is and how bad everything else is in terms of call it the beauty of it.
Mhm.
If you believe that the more beautiful one is going to get more viral shares on LinkedIn, talk about that.
Yep.
And don't even, and you can do beautiful work to impress your friends and yourself all day long, as long as it's going viral or it's getting tons of views and your clients are happy. But the clients just want the views, or the clients just want the the um, the income, or whatever the number is that they're looking at.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like, to bring it back to the demand thing.
Mhm.
Folks that are just totally focused on their craft and like doing award-winning looking stuff, like beautiful stuff, it's like, that's not the demand. There's not a demand. There's not a heavy demand for that kind of thing. Yeah, some companies like really invest in beautiful stuff, but most people don't. And it's like, all right, but you could serve a demand that's sitting right there, which is,
Mhm.
we want our videos to go viral, or we want our LinkedIn posts to have twice as much engagement.
Mhm.
And so it's like, here's the client, there is a demand, here's the seller, so the buyer and the seller, and they're sitting there, and the seller can help the person with this demand that, like, literally everybody on LinkedIn pretty much has. They want more views.
Mhm.
And it's like, okay, but then the seller is talking about something that is totally irrelevant to the buyer, and the dots are just not connected. No one's connecting the dots.
Yeah.
So it feels like that no one values design or something like that. It
Right.
feels like that, but it's like, well, if design works better, if good design works better, well, they care about how it works.
Mhm.
Anyway, it's total soapbox, but from a demand standpoint, it's like the demand is like people who are trying to become thought leaders on LinkedIn, they want more views, they want or impressions or whatever it's called on LinkedIn.
Right.
Like that's what they want. So get them that. However beautiful you want to make it or if you think that's going to work. Anyway, it's like if you're trying to sell something for which there is no connected demand, it's brutal. That's like me trying to be Dave Matthews 25 years ago. It's like there's already a Dave Matthews. We
Right.
don't need another one. We barely need the first one.
Right.
Kidding. So like do you have any anecdotes or stories
Yeah.
around because you get it, like you get the business side.
Yeah.
So how does that exist in your world?
Yeah, I will say that for me, it was very hard won. I personally have had a really hard time with this in the past. It's why I've missed every, trend train up until now. I have a real aversion to being manipulated. I don't like it. I don't like being like I don't care about trends. I don't give a crap about your like hypey thing. And I hate, hate, hate fear based marketing. I hate it
Hmm.
with a passion. As soon as you come at me with, like, oh, you're not on this platform. What's the matter with you? Your business is going to fail. I'm like, nope, get out. I don't care. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is great for sovereignty, but not great for your bottom line. Because what I have learned very painfully over so many years of being in business is that you have to have some sensitivity to what excites and scares other people, whether it's BS or not, whether it's manipulative or not, you have to have some awareness of and sensitivity to what is getting like particularly. I mean, when ChatGPT, like, I mean, what, like 100 million users in like the first half an hour or whatever, like whatever that stat was, it's like
Yeah.
that's what we call product market fit, people. Like that's like spot on,
Yeah. Yeah.
So like you've got to pay attention to that. And I feel like if you're a business owner, and I hear a lot of people saying like, AI sucks and it's killing the environment and it's unethical and there's privacy concerns and all these things. And I'm like, you're right. And
Hmm.
you can't ignore that it's here. And I
Yeah.
think that there's just a reality to, you need to get on board with it and figure it out and figure out how to use it and figure out how it fits in your life, how you fit in the future that's going to be AI, very AI run. Like that's part of the reason that I'm so bullish on it is I'm like, this is such a big deal. And so many people are terrified they're not going to be caught up with it. So many people are excited about the possibilities with it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whatever I do, whatever the next iteration of my business is, I have to fold AI into it or I'm going to get left behind again. So I was just really
Mm.
conscious of it this time around. So
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. That's wild that you noticed ones that you're like, I'm not going to get on the hype train this time.
yeah.
But then do you know I mean, what do you think it was? What do you think was different this time? Like what with this one? Was it just so huge that you were like,
No, I turned 50 last year. That was my big thing. I hit 50 last year, and all of a sudden it was like, wait, what's in my savings account? Wait, what? When has adulthood hit and I was unaware?
yeah,
Like, am I
yeah,
middle aged? Like, what has happened? Like, it just all of a sudden landed. Oh, I need to be a responsible adult. And you have that feeling when you're, I mean, I have had this feeling. I don't know about anybody else, but this feeling of like, any day now, people are going to catch on that I have no idea what I'm doing and I'm flying
yeah.
by the seat of my pants. And it was just, I finally just had this sort of wake up moment of like, okay, if you're going to do this, you need to make it work and we need to take it seriously and no more soapbox. Who cares if you feel manipulated? Sell what's going to sell. What
Yeah.
stop feeling so proud of yourself all the time. Let's just put money in the bank. Let's serve our clients. Let's make it happen.
Hmm.
So there was some of that.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, they don't come around that often, at least in my experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tech. You can go and just look at the tech waves. Gartner does a quadrant on it every year, and a lot of them just fizzle out.
Mhm.
Like, uh, I mean, God, Web3. Remember that? It's
Yeah,
like,
right.
and the metaverse. Remember that?
Right.
And all of those things. But when I saw mobile, I wasn't doing any calculation or anything like that. I just saw that thing and I'm like, I just totally got it. I'm like, yep. And I had the same thing the first time I used ChatGPT. I almost like made me sick. I was like,
Wow.
scary isn't it didn't sick isn't the right word, scared isn't the right word. It was just a complete holy shit moment.
Yes.
And I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God, okay, this is the next thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like the hair on my arms stood up.
Yeah. For
And
sure.
somebody's like, you got to, and talk about product market fit. My kids heard about it before I did, and
Mm.
at the time we're probably like 9 and 12 or something like that. And they're like,
Wow.
oh yeah, bonkers.
Yeah, for sure.
It feels like mobile to me. It's still wicked early. The
Yep.
iPhone was announced in 2007. It dropped in 2000, late 2007, I think. App Store was 2008. My book on it came out in January 2010, and that was still early.
Nice.
Yeah. So it was like
Nice.
3 years. I guess we're getting up to 3 years of ChatGPT, or two anyway. I'm not sure when it was, but
Yeah.
it's still early, and there's still a lot of things it sucks at. It's
Yeah.
really bad at lots of things.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
You need the system. You still need the systems right now to really make it work. I think that's going to collapse over time too. I think it's going to get smarter and better at integrating, and it'll get
mhm,
more natural language friendly and things like that. But for a while, I think we've got it's. You just need to build skills with it, and then you
mhm.
can really do some magic with it.
Yeah. You know what else it just reminded me of? And this is going to resonate with a lot of people listening, especially if their hair's the color of mine. Um, in the early days, if you know how to write HTML, you could print money.
Yes.
And there were, webmaster, and there was all of these like, it's like all of these arcane things that you had to do to get a web server working
Yeah.
and on the network, and Ethernet cables. There was no Wi-Fi until like 2003.
Right.
So
Right.
like there is a phase right now that feels like that to me, where people are kind of like learning these arcane skills to try and get um, make this stuff really work for a business. My prediction is that, just like you said, that's going to quickly become commoditized as things become more automated. Like the world before WordPress existed and the world after WordPress existed for
Yeah.
web people is like two different. Like, nobody, I'm the only person I know that made their own website, like wrote
Yeah.
it, you
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
everybody's on. I just was talking to someone. They were like, hiring to do like a podcast thing for me, and they were like, are you on WordPress or Squarespace? And I was like, none of them. It's like a hand. And they were like confused, like,
I'm like, what does that mean?
yeah, what do you mean? It's like what platform are you on? I'm like, Linux. They're like, what? Okay.
What? What is that?
Right. So like the web 1.0 hippies like me,
Yeah.
that feels like this is the Wild West phase right now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's a ton of snake oil salesmen and clowns and all of that.
Mhm.
All the crypto bros now are like, AI experts all of a sudden.
Yep.
But
Yep.
there's a lot of utility there. So I say to everybody, it's like experiment, experiment, experiment. If you're really good at what you do, and you already have systems and processes and stuff like that, or like you have like SOPs for how you run a client engagement or whatever,
Mhm.
it's like, see what you can hand off. And I mean, some of it stinks, some of it's more work than it's worth, and then some of it is like, oh wow, that is amazing.
Mhm.
So anyway,
Yeah. Yeah. I agree 100%.
so I hate to say it, but if there is some way, dear listener, for you to bring an AI angle into what you do for your clients,
Mhm.
there's a lot of demand for that right now.
Mhm.
Everyone is thinking, what's our AI strategy? What's our AI strategy? Like, is it hype? Is it overhyped? Maybe. Is it underhyped? Maybe. Are there practical applications? Are we, a year away from Skynet? I don't know. But I
Right.
do know that it's on everybody's minds, comes up all the time. It's like a regular subject of conversation around the dinner table at our house. It's like
Mhm.
Bitcoin wasn't, blockchain
Right.
wasn't, the metaverse wasn't, Web3 wasn't. This is demand, people. Like,
Yeah.
there is demand for this. So if I'm not saying shoehorn it into your business, but there's probably a place where it does make sense. And if you can sort of offer that consultatively to your clients in some way, it's like, do it. I think you'll get more business.
For
I think
sure.
you will make more money.
Definitely. And
Yeah.
and I would say the hole that I see in the market, and this is across industries, so I don't care what it is that you're doing, but the thing that I'm seeing that's really missing right now is there's no standard of education on AI. And so I would say don't just offer AI in your services to your clients, offer something for them to use AI with that you teach them how to do that will make their life better. That's the
Mhm.
thing that blows people's minds right now because people are like, I know I should be using ChatGPT, but where do I go to learn it? What do I do? And,
Yeah.
ChatGPT dropped their lessons thing, their sort of I don't think it's a certification, but they're how to use chat things. But if you know something specific in your industry that you've been using to get really good results and you can teach that to your clients in a way that makes their lives easier, better, more profitable, saves them time, whatever,
Mm.
I think you'll really set yourself apart really quickly.
Yeah. Yep. I have a couple of students who are doing this in different spaces. You're in this sort of this
Mm,
design branding space. I have someone who's like exploring it in the legal space where it is a huge topic of conversation. I'm not saying
mhm,
shoehorn it into some industry that it doesn't make sense for right now. Like, I don't know, manufacturing, who knows? I don't know.
mhm.
But, pretty much every business has a marketing function. So
Yeah.
and it's pretty useful there. So there's probably something. So don't be like, don't be like Diane and be like, I'm skipping this hype train. Like, just because you're a curmudgeon or like, old
Right.
neckbeard like me, it's like, people shouldn't be using it. It's like, well, people are using it,
Yep.
and people have there's just a crazy amount of demand, and there is utility in it. Like, I don't care how hyped it is, there is a lot of utility in it. So finding ways to add value to your clients using it or teaching them how to use it, I think you'll feel what demand feels like when you
Yeah.
build your lemonade stand next to the thirsty people.
For sure. For sure.
All right, so we're going way over, but I really appreciate you coming on, and the my ego. I'm not going to be able to walk out the door after the whole first half of the call,
Awesome.
but
Perfect.
so thanks for that. I'll
Yeah.
send the check later.
You got it.
Well, thanks so much for coming on, Diane. Where can people go to find out more about all of the stuff that you're doing?
So my agency is at swayrisecreative.com. But if you want to learn more about the course that we were talking about, that's at the AI content creator lab.com. You can also find it on my SwayRise Creative site too. And I do tutorials on YouTube and yeah, I'm on LinkedIn quite a bit as well.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks again.
Thank you so much. This was such a blast, Jonathan. I appreciate it.
Always a pleasure. All right, folks, that's it for this week. I'm Jonathan Stark, and I hope you join me again next time on Ditching Hourly. Bye.